My wife lied about getting her tubes tied to trick me into another baby. The pregnancy test was sitting on the bathroom counter when I got home from work, two pink lines blazing against the white plastic like an accusation. I stood in the doorway staring at it, my briefcase still in my hand, my jacket half off, my brain trying to process what I was seeing, because it didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. My wife Nicole had gotten her tubes tied 18 months ago. We'd agreed. 2 kids was enough. Sophia was 8, Oliver was 5, and we were done. We'd talked about it for months, weighed the options, decided together that a 2-ball ligation was the right choice. I'd even taken time off work to help her through the recovery. So the pregnancy test sitting there, positive, undeniable, impossible, it broke something fundamental in my understanding of reality. "Nicole?" I called out. My voice sounded strange, hollow. The house was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator downstairs and the distant sound of kids playing in the backyard. "Nicole, can you come here?" She appeared in the bathroom doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing yoga pants and one of my old college sweatshirts. She looked at me, then at the test, and her face did something complicated. Not surprise, not shock, something else. Something I couldn't quite read. "We need to talk," she said quietly. My stomach dropped. My hands went numb. I set my briefcase down slowly, carefully, like if I moved too fast, everything would shatter. "Is that yours?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. "Yes." She stepped into the bathroom, closed the door behind her even though the kids were outside. "I'm pregnant." I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out strangled and wrong. "That's not possible. You had surgery. Your tubes are tied." She looked down at the dish towel in her hands, twisting it between her fingers. "Sometimes it fails. It's rare, but it happens. The doctor said there's a small chance." "What doctor? When did you see a doctor?" "This morning. I took a home test yesterday, then went in for blood work to confirm. I'm about 6 weeks along." 6 weeks. I did the math backward in my head. That would put conception right around the beginning of October. We'd been careful even after her surgery, using protection occasionally just to be safe, but she'd assured me it was unnecessary. The tubal ligation was permanent, foolproof. She'd shown me the discharge papers. She'd spent 3 days on the couch recovering. I'd brought her ice packs and pain medication and soup. I'd watched her wince when she moved too quickly. It had been real, hadn't it? "I don't understand," I said. "The failure rate for tubal ligation is like less than 1%. How?" "I don't know, Ethan. I don't know how it happened. But it did." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Not consciously, just instinctively. She noticed. Her face crumpled slightly, then smoothed out again. "I know this is a shock. It's a shock for me too. But maybe it's a sign. Maybe we're meant to have another baby." "A sign?" I repeated. My voice was getting louder. I could hear it happening but couldn't stop it. "Nicole, we decided. We both decided we were done having kids. That's why you got the surgery. That's why we made a permanent choice. I know, but things change. Maybe this is fate telling us." "Fate? Fate doesn't override surgical sterilization." The words came out harsh, too harsh, and I saw her flinch. I took a breath, tried to calm down. "I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand. Did the doctor say how this could happen? Did something go wrong with the surgery?" She was quiet for a long moment. Too long. "He said sometimes the tubes can, reconnect themselves. It's called recanalization. It's rare but possible." I'd never heard that term before, but I also wasn't a doctor. It sounded plausible. Medical complications happened all the time. Bodies did weird things, but something about the way she said it, the way she wasn't quite meeting my eyes, made my skin prickle. "Which doctor did you see? Dr. Lansing?" Dr. Gregory Lansing had been her OB-GYN for years, had delivered both our kids, had performed her tubal ligation. "No, a different one. Dr. Lansing wasn't available, so I saw someone else at the practice. Dr. Chen." She stopped. "Dr. Chang. Dr. Richard Chang." I filed that name away. Didn't know why, just did. "Okay, so what happens now?" "I have another appointment next week. An ultrasound to confirm dates and make sure everything's okay. Will you come with me?" I should have said yes immediately. That's what a good husband does, but I couldn't make the word come out. "I need some time to process this," I said instead. "This is a lot." Her face hardened slightly. "I'm the one who's pregnant, Ethan. I'm the one whose body is going through this. You think it's not a lot for me too?" "I know. I'm sorry. Give me a few days, okay? To wrap my head around it." She nodded stiffly. "The kids will be thrilled. Sophia's been asking for a baby sister for years. Don't tell them yet. Please. Not until we figure this out." "Figure what out?" "I'm pregnant. It's happening whether we figure it out or not." She left the bathroom, left me standing there with the positive pregnancy test and a growing sense that something was very, very wrong. I picked up the test, examined it closely like it might reveal some hidden truth. 2 pink lines. Unmistakable. I put it down, pulled out my phone, Googled tubal ligation failure rate. Less than 1%. 0.5% to be exact. 1 in 200. Not impossible, but incredibly unlikely. Then I Googled recanalization after tubal ligation. The results talked about spontaneous reconnection of the fallopian tubes, usually within the first year after surgery. Nicole's surgery had been 18 months ago. Still possible, technically, but even rarer than I'd thought. If you are enjoying this story already, please subscribe to see more stories like this. I went downstairs, poured myself a whiskey even though it was only 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, and sat at the kitchen table while Nicole made dinner and the kids played outside and my world quietly tilted off its axis. That night, after we'd put Sophia and Oliver to bed, I tried to talk to Nicole about it again. Tried to be supportive, understanding, tried to be the husband I was supposed to be. If this is really happening, we'll handle it, I told her. We were in bed, the lights off, talking to the ceiling. We'll figure it out, but I need you to be honest with me. Is there any possibility at all, that the surgery didn't work from the beginning? That maybe there was a complication, or something the doctor didn't tell you? No, she said firmly. The surgery went fine. Dr. Lansing said everything looked good. This is just one of those freak things that happens. Can we get the medical records? From the surgery? I just want to understand what happened. She was quiet for a moment. Why? Do you not believe me? It's not about believing you. I just want all the information. It feels like you're accusing me of something. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm trying to understand how a permanent sterilization procedure failed. You're asking for medical records like you think I'm lying. Her voice was getting sharp, defensive. Are you lying? The question hung in the air between us, heavy and dangerous. How dare you? She said quietly. How dare you even ask me that? I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child, and you're treating me like a criminal. I didn't say that. I just asked. You asked if I'm lying about being pregnant, about the surgery, like I'd make something like this up. People do make things up, Nicole. It happens. Not me. Not about this. She turned away from me, pulled the blanket up to her shoulders. If you can't trust me, I don't know what we're doing here. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathing, and knew I should apologize, should take it back, should tell her I trusted her completely, but I couldn't, because I didn't. Not anymore. Something was wrong. I just didn't know what yet. The next morning, I called Dr. Lansing's office, asked to speak to someone about my wife's medical records. The receptionist was polite, but firm. I'm sorry, sir, but we can't discuss patient information without the patient's written consent. I'm her husband. I understand, but HIPAA regulations are very clear. If your wife wants to authorize release of her records to you, she'll need to sign a release form. Can I ask a general question then? Not about her specifically, just about the procedure. How often do tubal ligations fail? I really can't discuss specific procedures, sir. I'd recommend you speak with Dr. Lansing directly if you have medical questions, but he'd need your wife's consent to discuss her case. I thanked her and hung up, hit a wall before I'd even started. I sat in my car in the office parking lot, I'd called during my lunch break, and tried to think, tried to make sense of the pieces that didn't fit. Nicole had seemed genuinely surprised when I found the pregnancy test, but not shocked, more like she'd been waiting for me to find it. And her explanation about recanalization had come too quickly, too smoothly, like she'd rehearsed it. Or maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe this was exactly what it looked like, a medical anomaly, a 1 in 200 chance that just happened to be us. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something. I called my best friend Nathan. We'd known each other since college, worked at the same marketing firm for a while before he'd moved to a competitor. He was the kind of friend you could tell anything to, the kind who'd tell you when you were being an idiot but would help you hide a body if you needed him to. Dude, he said when he answered. What's up? You sound weird. Nicole's pregnant. Silence. Then, what? How? I thought she got her tubes tied. She did. Apparently it failed. That's a thing that can happen? Apparently. Shit. How do you feel about it? Honestly, I think she's lying. I hadn't meant to say it out loud. It sounded insane once I did. Lying about being pregnant? No, lying about the surgery. I think maybe she never got it done. Nathan was quiet for a long moment. That's a big accusation, man. Why would she do that? Because she wanted another baby and I didn't. We fought about it for months before she finally agreed to the surgery. She cried. She said she felt like I was forcing her to do it even though it was supposed to be a mutual decision. What if she agreed just to get me to drop it, then never actually went through with it? But you said she had recovery time. You took care of her after the surgery. 3 days on the couch, some pain, some bleeding, but I never actually saw anything. No incisions, no bandages. She said the procedure was laparoscopic, minimal scarring. I took her word for it. Jesus. Have you asked her directly? Sort of. Last night, she got defensive, accused me of not trusting her. I mean, you don't trust her. If you're calling me with this theory, he wasn't wrong. What do I do? Get proof, one way or another. If she had the surgery, there'll be records. If she didn't, there won't be. Find out for sure before you blow up your marriage over a suspicion. He was right. I needed proof. That evening, after Nicole had gone to bed, I went into our home office and started looking through files. We kept everything organized in a filing cabinet. Taxes, insurance, medical records, bills. I found the folder labeled Medical Nicole and started going through it. Immunization records, prescription history, notes from doctor's appointments. Nothing about a tubal ligation. I checked the folder labeled medical bills. Found statements from Dr. Lansing's office from 18 months ago. Several $100s charged to our insurance for an office visit. but no surgical procedure, no hospital charges, no anesthesia fees, nothing that looked like the kind of billing you'd get from a sterilization surgery. I sat back in the desk chair, my heart pounding, checked the dates again. The office visit charges were from the week Nicole said she'd had the surgery, but they were for a regular checkup, not surgery. I pulled out my phone, took pictures of the billing statements, then I kept digging, found our insurance explanation of benefits from that same time period. The EOB clearly listed the charge as office visit, routine gynecological exam, no surgery, no procedure code for tubal ligation. My hands were shaking. I put the papers back exactly as I'd found them, closed the filing cabinet, turned off the light, went back upstairs and got into bed next to my wife, who was sleeping peacefully, her hand resting on her stomach where a baby that shouldn't exist was growing. I didn't sleep, just lay there in the dark, watching the ceiling fan spin, trying to figure out what to do with what I knew. In the morning, I called in sick to work, waited until Nicole had taken the kids to school, then called Dr. Lansing's office again. I need to speak with Dr. Lansing directly, I told the receptionist. It's urgent. It's about my wife, Nicole Garrett's medical care. As I mentioned yesterday, sir, the doctor can't discuss patient information without consent. I understand, but I'm not asking him to discuss anything. I need to report a potential case of medical fraud. That got her attention. Medical fraud? I have reason to believe my wife may have claimed to have had a procedure that never actually took place. I need to verify whether or not she was treated at this office 18 months ago. Sir, I really think you should speak with your wife about this. I have spoken with my wife. She's lying. Now, can I speak with Dr. Lansing or do I need to contact the state medical board? She put me on hold. Muzak played for 3 minutes. Then a man's voice came on the line. Mr. Garrett, this is Dr. Lansing. I understand you have concerns about your wife's medical care. Dr. Lansing, I need to know if my wife had a tubal ligation at your office 18 months ago. Yes or no? I can't answer that without her consent, as I'm sure you understand. Then let me ask you this. If a patient claimed to have had a surgical procedure at your office, but billing records show only an office visit, would that be something I should be concerned about? Silence. Then, Mr. Garrett, I think you and your wife need to have a conversation. I can't comment on specific cases, but if you have questions about billing discrepancies, you should contact your insurance company. I'm asking if the procedure happened, and I'm telling you I legally cannot answer that question. But if you're seeing inconsistencies in billing records, that might be information worth exploring further. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. He hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling like I'd been punched in the chest. He hadn't confirmed anything, but he hadn't denied it either, and the way he'd carefully worded his response, telling me to look at billing records, suggesting there were inconsistencies, felt like as much of an admission as he could legally give. I needed to confront Nicole, but I needed more than just billing records and a doctor's careful non-denial. I needed something irrefutable. I called a lawyer, not our family lawyer, the guy who'd handled our wills and the mortgage paperwork. Someone new, someone who specialized in family law. I found a firm downtown, made an appointment for that afternoon. Jennifer Blackwood met me in a conference room with glass walls and a view of the mountains. She was in her early 50s, sharp-eyed, gray hair cut in a precise bob. She listened to my story without interrupting, took notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she sat back and looked at me over her glasses. This is complicated, she said. If what you're saying is true, that your wife lied about having a tubal ligation and deliberately got pregnant without your consent, that's reproductive coercion. It's a form of abuse, but it's also very difficult to prove and prosecute. I'm not trying to prosecute her. I just need to know the truth. And then what? What do you want to happen once you know? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know. Divorce, probably. I can't stay married to someone who'd lie about something this fundamental. Understandable, but you need to think about custody, child support, division of assets. If you're planning to leave, you need to plan carefully. The baby isn't born yet, but it will be, in about 7 months. And when it is, you'll be legally responsible for it whether you wanted it or not. That hit hard. Even if she tricked me? Yes, even if she tricked you. The law doesn't care about consent when it comes to parenthood for men. If you're married to her when the baby is born, you're presumed to be the father. You'll have all the legal obligations of parenthood. I felt sick. So she can just trap me, lie about birth control, get pregnant, and I have no recourse? Pretty much. Welcome to the legal system. It's not fair, but it's reality. She leaned forward. Here's what I recommend. First, get definitive proof that she lied. Medical records, something from the doctor, whatever you can find. Second, document everything. Dates, conversations, evidence. Build a case. Third, decide what you want. If it's divorce, file now, before the baby is born. The court will still likely assign you child support, but at least you'll have the timeline on your side. And fourth, be smart about it. Don't confront her until you have everything lined up. Don't give her time to spin a story or hide evidence. I thanked her, paid her retainer fee, left with a folder full of paperwork and a plan. Step 1. Get proof. I hired a private investigator. Found one through a referral from Jennifer, Thomas Crawford, former police detective, now doing private work. I met him at a coffee shop near his office. He was in his 60s, gray-haired, soft-spoken, The kind of guy who looked like someone's grandfather, but probably had seen things that would make you never sleep again. I told him what I needed. Confirmation that Nicole had never had a two-ball ligation. I can get medical records if you sign a consent form authorizing me to act on your behalf, he said. But if she's flagged her records as confidential, or if she's told the doctor not to release information, we might hit a wall. What else can you do? I can talk to the clinic staff, see if anyone remembers her. 18 months ago isn't that long. Someone might recall whether she had surgery or just a consultation. I can also check surgical center logs if the procedure was done at a hospital. Those are sometimes accessible through public records requests, depending on the facility. How long will this take? Week, maybe 2. Depends on what I find. I gave him everything I had. Dates, doctor's name, billing records, insurance information. He promised to be discreet, to keep me updated. I went home, acted normal, kissed Nicole when I walked in, asked about her day, played with the kids, made dinner, went through the motions of being a husband and father while my insides twisted with anger and betrayal and grief. That night, Nicole asked again if I'd go to her ultrasound appointment. It's on Friday, she said. 10 in the morning. I know you have work, but it would mean a lot if you were there. I thought about saying no. Thought about telling her I knew, laying out everything I'd found, watching her face when she realized she was caught. But Jennifer's advice echoed in my head. Don't confront her until you have everything lined up. I'll be there, I said. She smiled, kissed my cheek. Thank you. I know this has been hard for you, but I really think once we see the baby on the ultrasound, once it feels real, you'll be excited too. I smiled back, hated myself for it. Friday came. I took the morning off work, drove Nicole to the doctor's office. Not Dr. Lansing's practice, a different one across town. That should have been another red flag, but I'd been so caught up in everything else I hadn't questioned it. We sat in the waiting room surrounded by pregnant women and anxious partners. Nicole filled out paperwork. I pretended to read a magazine. Finally, they called her name. We went back to an exam room. The ultrasound technician was a young woman, cheerful and efficient. She had Nicole lie back on the table, squirted gel on her stomach, started moving the wand around. A grainy image appeared on the screen. The technician pointed to a small blob. There's your baby, she said. Measuring right at 6 weeks, 3 days. Heartbeat looks good. I stared at the screen. It was real. A baby. Growing inside my wife. A baby I'd never agreed to. A baby that shouldn't exist. Do you want to hear the heartbeat? The technician asked. Nicole looked at me hopefully. I nodded because what else could I do? The technician flipped a switch. A rapid whooshing filled the room. Thump, 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 thump. If this story keeps your interest, please subscribe to get more stories like this. Strong heartbeat, the technician said. 160 beats per minute. Very healthy. Nicole was crying. Happy tears. She reached for my hand. I let her take it. Squeezed back. Felt like a fraud. The appointment ended. The technician gave us printouts of the ultrasound. We walked back to the car in silence. Are you okay? Nicole asked when we were driving home. You've been quiet. Just processing, I said. It's a lot. I know. But we're in this together, right? I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because we weren't in this together. She'd made a unilateral decision and trapped me with the consequences. That afternoon, Thomas Crawford called. I've got something, he said. Can you meet? I told Nicole I had to go back to the office. Met Thomas at the same coffee shop. He slid a folder across the table. Your wife never had a two-ball ligation, he said flatly. Dr. Lansing's office confirmed she had a consultation about it 18 months ago, but she never scheduled the procedure, never went through with it. My throat closed up. Hearing it confirmed, having proof, it was different than suspecting. You're sure? Positive. I talked to the surgical coordinator. She remembered your wife because Nicole asked a lot of questions during the consultation, seemed very nervous, then never called back to schedule. The coordinator followed up twice, left messages, never heard back. Did she tell you why? The coordinator doesn't know, but she did say it's not uncommon for women to change their minds about sterilization. Sometimes the finality of it scares them off. But Nicole told me she had it done. She took 3 days off. She acted like she was recovering from surgery. Thomas shrugged. People lie. You know that now. He slid another document across the table. This is a statement from the surgical coordinator, signed and notarized. She's willing to testify if it comes to that. She's also pulling the official medical records, but those will take another week or so to process through legal channels. I stared at the document. Proof. Irrefutable proof. There's more, Thomas said. I pulled your wife's medical history from her insurance company. She hasn't had any surgical procedures in the past 3 years. Nothing. No tubal ligation, no laparoscopy, nothing that would match the timeline or the story she told you. How did you get that? I have my ways. Let's just say insurance databases aren't as secure as they should be. This won't be admissible in court, but it's useful for your knowledge. He pulled out another page. Also found this. She's been seeing a fertility specialist. My vision tunneled. What? Dr. Vanessa Reed at Denver Fertility Center. Your wife had an appointment 3 months ago. Had some blood work done, hormone levels checked. Looks like she was trying to get pregnant. The room spun. My hands were numb. Why would she need a fertility specialist if her tubes were tied? If the surgery failed? She wouldn't, Thomas said gently, which means she knew she could get pregnant. She was actively trying to. I thanked him, paid him, Drove home on autopilot. Sat in the driveway for 20 minutes before I could make myself go inside. Nicole was making dinner when I walked in. Sophia was setting the table. Oliver was on the floor playing with Legos. Normal domestic scene. Picture of suburban happiness. I looked at my wife and saw a stranger. That night, after the kids were in bed, I told Nicole I knew. Just laid it out there. You never had your tubes tied. She froze. Dish towel in her hands, halfway to the sink. What? You never had the surgery. You lied about it. You've been lying for 18 months. Ethan, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop. Just stop. I pulled out the folder Thomas had given me. Showed her the statement from Dr. Lansing's surgical coordinator. The insurance records. The timeline that didn't add up. I have proof. You consulted about the procedure but never went through with it. You even saw a fertility specialist 3 months ago. You were trying to get pregnant. Her face went white, then red, then something between the two. You had me investigated? You lied about surgical sterilization and got pregnant without my consent. Yeah, I had you investigated. I'm your wife, and I trusted you. I believed you when you said you'd had the surgery. I believed you when you said it failed. I believed every word out of your mouth until I found the pregnancy test, and nothing made sense. She sat down heavily at the kitchen table, put her head in her hands. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then, I couldn't do it. Her voice was small. I couldn't go through with the surgery. I went to the consultation. I listened to Dr. Lansing explain the procedure, and I couldn't. The thought of never being able to have another baby, of making that choice permanent, I couldn't do it. So you lied to me instead. I was going to tell you. I was going to explain that I'd changed my mind, that I wanted to talk about having another baby, but you were so relieved when you thought I'd had it done. You kept saying how glad you were that we didn't have to worry about birth control anymore. How nice it was that we were done having kids. I couldn't bring myself to tell you the truth. So, you just let me believe a lie for a year and a half? I thought maybe you'd change your mind eventually, that we'd get to a place where another baby made sense and I could tell you I'd never had the surgery and it would be okay. And the fertility specialist? She looked down. I wanted to make sure everything was still working, that I could still get pregnant if we decided to. My cycles have been irregular, and I was worried that waiting too long. We never decided anything, Nicole. I decided we were done. You agreed. You said you'd get your tubes tied. That was the agreement. I know. And then you deliberately got pregnant anyway. It wasn't deliberate at first. But when it happened, when I realized I was pregnant, I was happy. I thought you'd be happy too once you got over the initial shock. You thought wrong. I stood up, grabbed my car keys. Where are you going? I don't know. Anywhere but here. Ethan, please, can we talk about this? We're done talking. You lied. You manipulated me. You violated my trust in the worst possible way. There's nothing left to talk about. I left. Drove to Nathan's apartment. He let me in without questions, handed me a beer, let me sit on his couch and stare at the wall for an hour before I could put words together. She admitted it? He asked finally. Yeah. Said she couldn't go through with the surgery. Thought I'd changed my mind about wanting more kids. Jesus. I filed for divorce this morning. Before I confronted her, Jennifer said to have everything ready. Smart. I don't feel smart. I feel like an idiot. 18 months I believed her. 18 months I thought we were on the same page, and the whole time she was lying to my face. Nathan didn't say anything, just sat there with me in the quiet. I stayed at his place for 3 days. Went to work, avoided Nicole's calls, tried to figure out what came next. Jennifer filed the divorce papers. Nicole was served on Monday morning. She called me 19 times, left voicemails crying, begging me to come home, saying we could work through this. I didn't call back. On the 4th day, she showed up at my office. Security called me from the lobby. Your wife is here. She's asking to see you. Tell her I'm not available. She's pretty upset, sir. She's crying. Should we call the police? No. Just tell her to leave. If she doesn't, then call the police. She left, but not before sitting in the lobby for 2 hours, making a scene, telling anyone who would listen that her husband had abandoned her while she was pregnant. My boss called me into his office. Ethan, I don't want to pry into your personal life, but your wife was here today making allegations. I need to know if there's something I should be concerned about. I explained the situation, as professionally as I could. Left out most of the details, but made it clear we were getting divorced, that she'd violated my trust, that I needed some space from her. Take the week off, he said. Paid. Get your personal situation sorted. When you come back, we'll figure out how to handle the optics. I appreciated it more than I could say. I used the week to find an apartment, move my stuff out of the house while Nicole was at work, set up a new life. Jennifer got me temporary custody of Sophia and Oliver. They'd stay with me during the week, with Nicole on weekends until the divorce was finalized. Told the kids that Mom and Dad were having some grown-up problems, but we both loved them very much, and nothing was their fault. Sophia cried. Oliver looked confused. I held them both and tried to be strong even though I felt like I was falling apart. Nicole's lawyer sent a counterfiling, claimed I'd abandoned her, that the divorce was cruel, that I was being unreasonable about the pregnancy, tried to paint me as the bad guy. Jennifer shut it down, filed a motion with all our evidence, the medical records proving Nicole had lied, the fertility specialist visits, the timeline of deception. Asked the judge to take the reproductive coercion into account when determining custody and support. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. In the meantime, I started seeing Dr. Vanessa Reed, not the fertility specialist, a different Dr. Reed, a therapist, Dr. Monica Reed. She specialized in trauma and betrayal. I needed someone to talk to who wasn't invested in the outcome. What you're describing is a violation of bodily autonomy, she told me in our second session. When one partner lies about birth control or sterilization, when they trick the other partner into having a child, that's reproductive coercion. It's a form of abuse. I keep trying to figure out what I missed, what signs I should have seen. Abusers are good at hiding. They're good at making you believe the lie. This isn't your fault. It feels like my fault. I should have asked more questions. Should have demanded to see medical records. Should have gone to her surgery with her. Would she have let you? I thought about that. Probably not. She said the clinic didn't allow partners in the surgical area. Convenient excuse. Yeah, convenient. The court hearing came. Nicole showed up with her lawyer, her sister Amanda, her mother, tried to look sympathetic. Pregnant and abandoned. The victim. Jennifer brought our evidence. The medical records. The statements from Dr. Lansing's office. The insurance billing showing no surgery. The fertility specialist visits. The timeline of lies. The judge listened to both sides. Looked at the evidence. Asked Nicole directly, Mrs. Garrett, did you or did you not have a tubal ligation procedure as you claimed to your husband? Nicole's lawyer tried to object. The judge shut him down. Answer the question, Mrs. Garrett. Nicole looked at me. Looked at the judge. No, I didn't have the surgery. Gasps from her family. Even they hadn't known. And did you deliberately mislead your husband into believing you had? It wasn't like that. Yes or no, Mrs. Garrett? Yes. The judge's face hardened. This court takes reproductive coercion very seriously. Mr. Garrett, I'm granting your divorce petition. Custody of the minor children will be split 60-40 in your favor, with re-evaluation after the birth of the third child. Mrs. Garrett will be responsible for her own medical expenses related to the pregnancy. Child support will be determined after paternity is established post-birth. But given the circumstances, I'm inclined toward a minimal support arrangement. Nicole's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, that's highly unusual. What's unusual, counsel? Is a spouse deliberately deceiving their partner about sterilization and forcing an unwanted pregnancy? Your client violated trust in one of the most fundamental ways possible. She's lucky I'm not holding her in contempt for fraud upon the court. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. I got the house. Nicole got a small settlement, enough to get an apartment and get on her feet, but nothing close to what she would have gotten if she hadn't lied. Her family cut her off. Her mother called me to apologize, said she'd raised Nicole better than that, couldn't believe she'd do something so manipulative. Her sister Amanda testified in the custody hearing, said Nicole had always been controlling, had always needed to get her way, that she wasn't surprised by the deception. Nicole lost her job. Word got around about the court case. Small town, people talk. Her employer didn't want the liability of keeping someone who'd committed reproductive coercion on staff. She moved in with a friend. Started working retail. Fell apart publicly in a way that would have made me feel sorry for her if I hadn't been so angry. The baby was born in June. A girl. Nicole named her Lily without asking me. I went to the hospital because legally I had to, because the paternity test required my presence. Looked at this tiny person who was half mine and felt nothing. No connection, no joy, just resentment that she existed, that she'd been brought into the world through deception. The paternity test confirmed what we already knew. She was mine. The judge set child support at $400 a month, a fraction of what it normally would be, citing the circumstances of conception as a mitigating factor. I set up a college fund for her, made sure Nicole had what she needed to care for her, but I didn't bond with Lily the way I'd bonded with Sophia and Oliver. Couldn't. Every time I looked at her, I saw the lie, saw the betrayal. Dr. Reed told me that might change over time, that it wasn't Lily's fault, that she was innocent in all this. I knew that intellectually, but emotionally, I couldn't get there. It's been a year now. Sophia is 9, Oliver is 6, Lily is 6 months old. I have Sophia and Oliver during the week. Take Lily for court-ordered visits every other weekend. Nicole and I communicate through a parenting app, no direct contact. It's cold, functional, exactly what it needs to be. I'm dating someone new. Her name is Rachel. She's a lawyer, not in family law, corporate stuff. We met at a conference. She knows everything about what happened with Nicole, knows about the lies, the betrayal, the baby I didn't want. She's patient with me, doesn't push, understands why trust is hard. Nicole is still working retail, still living with her friend, sees the kids on weekends when I drop them off, takes Lily full-time the weeks I don't have her, looks tired, defeated. I don't feel bad for her. My friends ask if I'll ever forgive her, if I'll ever be able to co-parent civilly, to put the past behind us for the sake of the kids. Maybe someday, but not today, not this year, maybe not ever. What she did wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was calculated, deliberate deception over 18 months. It was reproductive coercion. It was abuse, and I don't owe my abuser forgiveness. Sophia asks sometimes why mom and dad aren't together anymore. I tell her that sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt other people, and when that happens, The relationship can't be fixed. She seems to accept that. Oliver doesn't ask. He's too young to fully understand. Just knows that we live in two houses now, that things are different. Lily doesn't know anything yet. Won't for years. Someday I'll have to explain to her that she was born from a lie, that her existence was the result of her mother violating my consent. I don't know how to have that conversation. Don't know if I ever will. But it's her truth. She deserves to know it. For now, I focus on the things I can control. My work, my relationship with Sophia and Oliver, my healing, my future with Rachel, the life I'm building that's honest and built on trust and doesn't have lies at its foundation. Nicole tried to trap me. She thought if she got pregnant, I'd stay. Thought a baby would fix what was broken, would give her the family she wanted, would make me forget she'd lied. But you can't build a life on deception. You can't force someone to want what you want through manipulation. You can't trap someone who knows the truth. And I know the truth now. I know what she did. I know what she's capable of. And I know I'll never let anyone have that kind of power over me again. That's the real ending. Not the divorce, not the custody battle, not the public exposure. The ending is me, free, whole, moving forward with my eyes open. Nicole lost everything trying to get what she wanted through lies. Her marriage, her family's trust, her job, her reputation, her kids' respect, eventually, when they're old enough to understand. I didn't destroy her. She destroyed herself. I just refused to go down with her. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. This isn't the kind of story that ends with everyone happy. Real life doesn't work that way, but it ends with truth, and sometimes that's enough. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.